Cello, we're back, baby. It's week 16 for the 2024 NFL season, and we're coming off a hot week. 4-1, my man. 4-1. Too little, too late? I don't think
Scorching hot, baby. Scorching hot.
We suck. We got to just remember for next year, I mean, you basically can't go. The worst you can do if you want to stay competitive.
It's 3-2.
Is 3-2.
Yeah.
It's got to be 5-0. It's got to be 4-1. Worst week, 3-2. And God forbid you do worse than that. You have to bounce back right away. But you can't have these 1-4s. Did we have an 0-5? I think we might have.
We might. But listen, we're back over 500. So let's try and finish strong.
That's right. So the season record is currently 38-36, is 51.3%. I think 52.4 is the Mendoza line in sports betting. So we'll get there this week.
Yeah. I think we're 38-36-1. I think we had a tie.
Well,
push.
I got rid of the 1 because, I mean, what do you do with the 1?
Right. But there should be, it should add up to an odd number. I mean, every 5 games, and 38 and 36 is an even number, so it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Well, we're only the 1 because I'm counting the newsletter picks as our actual record, right? Because I think there could have even been another push earlier in the season, maybe not, but I mean that Miami Jet line, that's 6 push. What's interesting is about in the Circa contest. The big pick 5 one.
Sure.
They actually don't have half points on all the games. So you could have a lot of pushes. Interesting.
Yeah.
I have all the lines. There's 2 games that we should lock in just by the fact of the CLV that happened, but we'll talk about that. We got 2 games on Saturday. We got a Thursday night game, and we got, full card on Sunday. It's a difficult week, but let's kick it off with the Thursday night game. Denver is playing the Chargers on the road. They're catching 2.5.
I love the Chargers in this game. I think the Chargers, listen, they got caught last week by Tampa. There's no shame in losing to Baker. Evans showed up. He Evans them, right? 159 yards, 2 touchdowns, uncoverable. Baker played great. And the Chargers, couldn't keep up with them. They had a couple injuries, but I think that was kind of like a sandwich game for them. And in hindsight, we should have seen that coming, that Denver was coming next week in a big, big division game. If I'm not mistaken, the Chargers lost this first game in Denver by 3. I'm not sure if it was overtime or not, but I think the Chargers will be focused and ready. And I know they have some injuries, but I still think they're going to win this game. So if it's less than 3, I think we got to lay it.
I don't entirely disagree. I mean, a couple thoughts are that this has to be the absolute top of the market for Denver.
Yes.
So like I think ordinarily you would see them getting 3.5 in this game. The problem is the Chargers have not been playing well at all. And I'm highly concerned about their offense. Like they've just not been able to score. They cannot run the ball.
Yeah.
Ever since Dobbins went out, they haven't been able to run the ball. Now this guy Dissly is hurt.
Dissly's hurt too. Quentin Johnson might be hurt.
Thank God McConkey is healthy for them, but even Herbert is hurt. And I don't know. I tend to agree with you. I'm passing on the game because I think it's going to be like just flip a coin, but I don't think there's enough of an edge for me to get to the Chargers in this one unless we can't come up with 5 more. I would probably pass.
I see what you're saying, only because of the injuries. Like if the Chargers were healthy, they'd be laying more and I'd be more confident, but I just feel like Harbaugh is going to get them to win this game. I think that they probably got a little bit picked off by an NFC team they knew nothing about. They know a lot about Denver. This game, Harbaugh lost his first game. He's not looking to lose 2 in a row his first year coaching to the same team in his division. So I think they're going to be really ready to go. Saw an interview with Khalil Mack. That guy looked focused to me. He looked ready. He's excited about the game. He said, we got to bring energy. We're going to bring energy, whatever. He's a dangerous player. I know they have some injuries. I mean, they had their linebackers hurt. I think Derwin James is okay, but we'll see. I think they're going to do enough in this spot. I don't know how, but I think they're going to do it.
I think also Denver's been like getting lucky, like between the Cleveland game, what happened, and that the Colts completely
That
melted
ridiculous
down.
2-pass interception play was ridiculous.
That
Come
was
on.
ridiculous. I mean, Jonathan Taylor dropping the ball, like they just like they completely had a meltdown and lost the game to me. And Denver, walked through the door like they should, but I don't know. They're I just like overvalued is
Totally.
like a good word for them right
I
now.
think the Chargers are the play here. Can you explain to me this dropping of the ball before the goal line thing? I mean, where did these guys learn that? I just don't. Why does that happen?
It was great. I mean, they came to his locker after the game and he was incredibly, apologetic.
Remorseful. Like, it'll never happen again.
Yeah, he's just like, that can't happen.
But how does it happen once?
It's being careless. I mean,
It's
what
just
else
so
can you say?
unbelievable to me. These guys
careless.
are so non-focused. How about the other night, even in a bowl game, that shootout game? I don't know if you saw it last night.
No.
I actually won the game. I had Memphis -4.5. The line went to 5. It actually went to 6. So some people lost because it was right on the number. But the end of the game, West Virginia's marching, and they literally throw an interception with 8 seconds left on the 10-yard line. The guy on Memphis started to run it back.
Yeah.
Instead of just going down.
Yeah.
And a guy came from behind it and punched it out of him, and West Virginia recovered.
Oh my God.
And I'll tell you how they got lucky. He finally, in the end, started to slide, and because he initiated his slide, they ruled that he was immediately down.
Oh.
Even though the ball was punched out.
Before he went down?
I thought so. But his slide had begun.
Call.
The slide had begun, so they gave him down, and the game was over.
Wow.
But, I mean, how dumb are these players? Like, how do you not know since, like, you're 8 years old? Time, distance. If I intercept this ball, go right down, the game's over. Why are you running it back?
To get some glory.
They're just fucking morons. They're not smart.
Like, I mean, that happened even in the NFL this year. And I think it was the Dallas game where the guy took the onside kick and housed it. And there was a lot of time on the clock. And they had to keep playing football.
Meanwhile, Jenny slept out last night at her mother's because she had a procedure or whatever. And I am up and I'm watching this, and I have the spread -4.5, and I am sitting up in my bed saying, "Go down, go down." I'm yelling. It's fucking 1 a.m.
Thank God Jenny wasn't there.
Thank God.
All right, let's move on. We kind of lean Chargers here. I kind of take.
Yeah, I think we do.
Okay. Next game is Saturday, Houston KC. So let me just tell you, I'll get you excited. The Chiefs were getting 2.5 when this line opened and in the contest, and the market is currently they are laying 3.5. So we almost have to take the Chiefs.
So Mahomes is playing.
He basically practiced today, and I don't think
he doesn't miss games. That guy. He says he's injured. He's such a liar. He's never fucking hurt.
Here's the thing: if it's up to him, he's absolutely playing. The question is, would Andy Reid sit him? And I think the consensus, or even the reporting, is that he's not going to sit him.
Who's their backup?
I understand also. Well, one more thing. I understand because the Chiefs, if they don't get home field advantage with Buffalo surging the way they are, I mean, I know they would have to lose 2 games and Buffalo would have to win out, but still, it's like I think the Chiefs know that how important home field is.
Buffalo has the tiebreaker. Remember, they beat them head-to-head.
Yeah, I know. But still, they've only lost 1 game and Buffalo's lost 3.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know Buffalo. Oh, the Ram loss.
Yeah, they basically so that's the story. But Mahomes wants to play. He wouldn't miss a game.
I mean, if we himself. I mean, how do we have KC +2.5 and the line is -3.5? We're almost compelled to take them. I mean, it's almost negligent of us if we don't take that line. That's a 6-point move. We have to do it. I mean, that's it. We got to take KC.
Yeah. aside from that, I mean, I agree in the contest. That's like a no-brainer. But aside from that, I like the Chiefs anyway. And especially if Mahomes is playing, like I think Houston's offense is just totally dysfunctional.
You know, I got to say they got it done. They got it done against Miami, though. They got it done against Miami. He got the ball to Nico Collins twice in the end zone. Stroud made some plays. They do get penalized a lot. I mean, the penalties are just mind blowing. You can't,
and incredibly predictable. Like this guy makes Ryan Day look like normal. He runs the ball on every single first down, and everyone knows it, and he does it anyway.
Joe Mixon.
And yeah, no, I'm talking about Bobby Slowick and his offense. I keep criticizing it, and I'm telling you, it's not right. The only time he didn't do it was I think on Thanksgiving Day when Houston threw the opening pass for a touchdown, and they called it back for like an illegal shift or something. But other than that, he runs the ball, and they get into a third, and he runs the ball on every first and second down, it seems like, but definitely on every single first down, he's running the ball, and then they find themselves in third and long, and they can't complete a pass. Their offense looks like shit.
Yeah, I agree. Listen, great, they're not going to scare you. You know, the thing with Houston is I feel like they have it in them to be competitive in games. Like they've shown that last year. The first half, they had the game won in Baltimore. They came out in the second half and shit the bed. They didn't score a point. They got killed. Yeah. But they have moments where the defense plays well. Stroud plays well. They have weapons. They have a guy Mixon that can run the ball. And suddenly you find yourself, you're in the game. So I don't, Casey doesn't blow anybody out. But if we're getting 2.5 at home instead of laying 3.5, we have to take them, period. It's done.
Yeah, we do. And it's also, and one more thing on this. Getting 3.5, I slightly do like Houston because of how many close games
KC
finds himself in.
Me too.
By 2 and all that bullshit.
Totally.
Especially if Mahomes is hobbled and he has some kind of a weird, look, the 2 best defensive ends on one team is Houston. And so,
Anderson.
Right. And Danielle Hunter. And so
Hunter.
If he goes down early and Wentz comes in, that could get ugly. And Houston.
It is Wentz.
Yeah.
You know what? He's got all week to let the ankle get better. I mean, I did see him get bent back. His ankle did get trapped under him. He's had that issue before, but the guy plays. I mean, Mahomes plays. So you could say, and then all of a sudden he's rolling out, he's creating time, and he's carving you up. So I don't want to hear about Mahomes being injured until the guy is in a boot. I don't want to hear about it.
Right, and that's the thing. When he's injured, he also runs for like 35 yards, scampering down the sideline. Yeah,
and he also he's really good at buying time in the pocket. That's what he does.
Yeah. Okay. So we're on the Chiefs getting 2.5. Pittsburgh, Baltimore. I can't believe you guys are playing Saturday.
Saturday 4:30. Weird.
The big question, if you want to go first. I mean, I just have 2 questions on this game, and it's about Pickens and Watt, and I don't think we can make a pick before that. If those 2 don't play, my handicap is simple. If they don't both play, I like Baltimore in this game. And if they do play, I like Pittsburgh at this number.
Yeah, I mean,
going 6, maybe 5.5, but I think it's too many. But those 2 guys not playing, I mean, that's such a 50% of your big play action is to Pickens. And we've seen what you look like without him.
Yeah, the offense is not great without Pickens, like 28th and 25th overall. It hasn't been great. I mean, he has a grade 2 sprain, hamstring. He's supposed to be out 2 weeks. He should play this week. I don't know about Watt. I know the injury, the x-rays thankfully were negative. So he didn't break his foot, but he did something to that ankle, and it didn't look good. Like he immediately pulled up. He went down. He was out of the game and never came back. So I agree. Like the Steelers' record without Watt is really not good. I mean, really not good. So
right.
I know now we have Herbig, who's a nice young player, and he's 2 years into the system, and he's really makes a lot of plays when he comes in. And we have Highsmith is healthy. The other thing is the Steelers win this game all the time. Steelers are 7-1 straight up in their last 8 against Baltimore. It doesn't matter who's playing. We beat them with Mason Rudolph last year in the last week of the season in the rain. So 6.5's way too many points.
I agree.
Way.
As long
So
as I need those, especially Pickens. I actually think you do better without Watt than Pickens. But if Pickens doesn't play, that offense it's brutal.
yeah, well, Najee fumbled last week. His first fumble of the year on the pitch play, so that kind of hurt us. The Eagle game. I told you on this pod, and I bet it. I said I bet Philly. I'm like, we never are going to win this game. So this game to me is like, you know what? We're always focused on Baltimore. It's an AFC North game. Tomlin owns them. I know they're angry that they lose to us all the time, and maybe that's extra motivation. I don't know if that's 6.5 points extra motivation. I think when a team owns you the way that the Steelers have owned them for 8 games, to ask them to win by almost a touchdown, it's asking a lot. I mean, I think it's too much.
They're probably maybe 1 or 2 points better. Let's say 2 points better on a neutral, and they give the home team, you get 3, so that's 5.
It's probably 4 points. 4.5 would have made more sense than 6.5. But
I agree.
Let's see what the injuries are. But if I had to bet it, I would take the Steelers. That's too many in this rivalry.
Okay. Yeah, I think for me, I would pass on this. If anything, I like Baltimore, and Baltimore's a good teaser leg here.
I mean, they did rest players in the second half last week against the Giants, so they had an easy week off a bye. They're going to come in rested and fresh,
Yes. Okay. Cleveland, Cincy. This line went to 7.5. It was like 6.5 before the news of Jameis getting benched. Now he's benched, and we're going with DTR, which is not an upgrade. I love Cincy in this game.
Where's the game?
It's in Cincinnati. Cincy's 6-8. They haven't been eliminated. There's a bunch of bubble teams on 6-8. Maybe if they win out, they can backdoor that wild card. But more importantly, Cleveland, Nick Chubb is done for the year. So we have one running back, Ford, who's very good, but he can't get the ball, 24 times.
Ford was great last week.
No, he's very good. As long as he's not the only running back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when you can mix it up with him and Chubb, it just goes a lot better, like it does for any team with 2 running backs. But the bigger thing is I haven't seen anything out of DTR ever that would make me think that he's ready to beat the Cincinnati Bengals on the road. Like, I think he's going to have a horrible, horrible game. The only time he played a meaningful snaps this year was when Deshaun Watson got hurt
at home.
I forget what game it was. Actually, it was the game where Deshaun got knocked out for the season.
Yeah, and you guys were at home.
Yeah, DTR played the second half, and granted, he wasn't ready and didn't take any reps that week in practice, but he threw 2 interceptions and he was inaccurate. He didn't look good. So So they give him 3 days to get ready to play the Bengals? No way.
Yeah, you know what? I kind of agree with you. I mean, we were on Cincinnati. I liked Cincinnati last week, and they did cover. They almost blew it at the end, but I would say that Burrow's playing great. The offense is amazing, and if the defense can just contribute a little bit, they should be able to win this game by over 10 points again at home. I mean, I don't see how Cleveland's going to stop Jamar Chase and Higgins and everything they have. And Chase Brown's a good runner, so I'm with you. I like Cincinnati.
Yeah, I think Burrow's got to take care of the ball a little bit better than he did last week, especially in the second half. But it should be an easy win for them.
He was not thrilled with Chase Brown fumbling that ball on the 1-yard line. He was pissed. They had a 17-point. That would have been an easy 17-point lead. They had to hang on to win by 10, and he was not happy in the locker room after. He goes, "We got to play better than that." That's bull. He didn't. I don't know if he said bullshit, but he said he was not happy with the performance.
Yeah.
Which I like out of him. He knows he has to play. They have to play better. He's like, big deal. We're 6-8. Who cares?
Right.
Like, we got to keep winning every game, and we have to be better than that to win.
Yeah. Who knows? 9-8 could get in. I mean,
we've been saying it. Listen, everybody knows how dangerous Cincinnati is on offense. Nobody wants to play them. If they get that wild card and they're playing the number 1 seed, whoever it is, that's not an easy win.
Right. Okay. We both like Cincy. So it's a lot of wood to chop, but I think they'll get it done.
I do too.
7.5 in the contest.
Wow, we're really agreeing on games today.
Next game is, it happened. Kirk got benched.
Finally.
So Michael Penix, who was actually my favorite of this draft class, who hasn't played a snap yet this year.
Yeah.
Former Indiana QB, transferred to Washington. He was great, and he's going to start. It's amazing how we got Kirk exactly right. Like, we knew he was going to shit the bed in Denver. We knew he was going to shit the bed at the Vikings.
I didn't. You did.
Gave him one last gasp.
We did.
Last week. My God, did they barely hold on? He looked absolutely horrible.
Yeah.
There's nothing more to say. I mean, the guy's hurt, and he cannot throw the ball.
I mean, he has 1 touchdown and 9 interceptions, I think, in his last 5 games. They had to bench him.
Yeah. So I think, I love the timing of this.
Who are they playing?
They're playing the Giants.
Ah.
And there's already some CLV because in the contest it's 8.5. And I just looked in the market on this line, it's 10
in Atlanta.
So it's a good, I love the timing of putting him in here because you're playing the worst team in the league statistically is the Giants. And so, like, if you got to give the guy a good warm-up game. And, I don't know if they're going to cover this. It seems like a lot of points, but man,
for a rookie quarterback who's never played. I mean, that's to lay 8.5 is, we got to find a better game. I'm with you. Like,
I'm not saying we should pick it. I'm saying it's very interesting.
Listen,
this many. Look, the guy has an absolute cannon for an arm. He's also a lefty, which is weird.
Yeah.
It's always weird with a lefty thrown out there.
So true.
Just imagine the difference between the type of balls that Kirk has been throwing, and suddenly now with London and Pitts and being able to have this guy throw lasers at those guys downfield.
It should be fun to watch. Listen, I'm not saying you can never. The Giants are unbettable, so we're either laying the 8.5 or we're fine or we're not. But we're skipping the game. You can't put money on the Giants. They need to lose every game. They're a horrible team. They're playing really bad quarterbacks. If that guy Tim Boyle is starting for the Giants, then I will lay the 8.5. He is not an NFL quarterback.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because I actually thought that the connection between he and Neighbors was better than I had seen anything all year out of any other Giant quarterback. Like, I thought those two had something going. And so I'm kind of like, oh, maybe, I don't know, maybe that's the ticket, like Boyle and Neighbors and like that. That's they're going to cover, and they have the pass rush, and they're going to disrupt this kid. And like, I'm not saying we should take the Giants. I just think this is a really interesting game, an interesting line. I think it's a pass.
People will be really interested to watch this kid Penix play and see how he does. It's an NFL game. It's against a 2-win team, so it's probably a pretty good audition for him in terms of, now that doesn't mean they're going to cover, but they should win.
Get him in there. Like, I love the timing of the decision.
Yeah.
Because you get him in now, you get this game under his feet, and then he has to win the final 2 to win the division and get into the playoffs. And like, who knows? He may have like a Tom Brady type moment where it's just like, geez, what were we waiting for?
Yeah, it's very, very possible. That's what they're hoping to catch, lightning in a bottle with this kid. And that's why they drafted him. Everyone ripped him for drafting him after the signing Cousins to that deal. But you know what? Listen, he's the future. Cousins was a stopgap for maybe 2 years. I figure that's what they were thinking about. Kind of like when Green Bay had Favre and they took Rodgers, same type of thing.
Turns out the stopgap was only 14 games.
Yeah, exactly. Didn't work out.
Detroit, Chicago. Detroit's laying 6.5 on the road. I like the Lions here coming off the loss. I think, it's funny. I was joking on the pod last week when I said, what this means when the Bears got blown out in San Francisco. I said, what this means, right? That Eberflus was a good coach.
Yeah.
And I may not be wrong. They looked horrible now twice since they fired him. He's obviously the defensive mastermind of that team. And since he's left, it's like they can't forget playing defense. They can't do anything.
They can't do anything.
How are they going to stop Detroit's offense?
Well, obviously Detroit, I looked at their injury list. I've never seen a longer injury list in my life of guys on IR, and they lost Montgomery this week for the season. That's a huge blow for them. Like, I know Jahmyr Gibbs is great, but again, that's that back to that 1-2 punch thing, right? So now you got Gibbs running on every down. It's not going to be as effective, because he's not giving you that juking and that shit out of the backfield. He's got to be in there for every down. So it's a different team. Goff on the road historically on grass in the cold is not great. 6.5. I mean, it's very hard to bet the Bears. I mean, who are we kidding? Yeah, I mean, you can't bet the Bears, but they did have a chance on Thanksgiving in a game where we talked about last week. That's what got Eberflus fired, is that he didn't call the timeout. They didn't even get the field goal attempt, out there. And now they say to themselves, wow, we had this team beat in their building only 2 weeks ago. Let's go beat them now. We're at home. I don't know. I mean, it's very hard to trust Chicago. I don't trust them, but I'm not willing to lay that many points with Detroit, considering everything they're going through with the injuries. I don't think it makes sense.
Yeah, Chicago's offensive line, how long Caleb Williams holds the ball. They're not doing anything right, and they haven't been for 3 weeks. All right, so this is a pass. I say next up is Tennessee Colts. It's another pass.
Can you believe how we went from talking about Phil Levis's off the field escapades last week with the porn video?
Yeah.
And now he's been benched.
Yeah, I know.
So I think that second career is just around the corner.
Mason Rudolph. I don't know. I don't want any interest in this. I mean, if anything, Colts, but what they did last week was so dysfunctional. Again, they kind of really remind me of the Browns. And I think like Jonathan Taylor will do right by himself and the team. Like Jonathan Taylor props is probably something worth looking at. Like he's probably going to explode in this game, but I'm not getting involved. If anything, I'm interested in the Colts, but what Tennessee has done to me this season, to pass.
Where is the game? In Indy? Is it in Indy?
Yeah.
And what's the line?
They're laying 4.5.
Seems like an underlay to me. I don't know. I think Jonathan Taylor is going to be focused, and they're going to be pissed about what they did last week. Tennessee's not good, and I don't know what you get out of Mason Rudolph. I don't think Mason Rudolph's necessarily an upgrade over Will Levis. I don't think he won any games for them either. So that team's dysfunctional. They're not good. They have a bad roster. Colts have the best tackler in the NFL. The kid from Syracuse, Zaire Franklin, leads the league in tackles. So they have a really good middle linebacker to take care of Pollard. So I don't know. Again, it's an ugly game, but if I had to bet it, I would take the Colts. I think the Titans are terrible.
Okay, I'm with you there. Let's come back to that, but I really don't want that to be our top 5.
Got it.
Again, if we're vowing not to take bad teams, we're gonna break that rule if we take the Colts.
Correct.
Arizona, Carolina. Arizona's laying 3.5 on the road. Probably a pass. If anything, I'm interested in Arizona. Good bounce back win for us last week. They beat up the Patriots. I think, Arizona really thrives when they play against a zone defense, and Carolina plays a zone. So I think, they're gonna have success against this defense, and they can't stop the run either. And James Conner is just probably gonna go off.
What's that line?
Still alive. They're on the. They haven't been eliminated from the playoffs. They're on the bubble. They're laying 3.5 on the road, but Carolina's been feisty. I know they got blown out last week by Dallas at home, but
God, they killed us. We made the mistake again. We both thought Dallas was dead, and we thought Carolina was playing better football and all this shit, and they were horrible.
I know.
They were terrible. Bryce Young fumbled twice. The offensive line sucks. That receiver. Did you see the interview with their receiver? That kid Leggett.
No.
He fucking, he eats raccoons, he said. He fucking eats raccoons, dude. Have you ever seen the guy speak? It's unbelievable. And the other guy, the two guys were on the podcast. They're like, what? And he's like, yeah, raccoon. And, because that's how he talks. Like, he can't even fucking speak. And they're like, and then the guy's like, "Did you say you raccoons?" He goes, "When's the last time you ate a raccoon?" He goes, "Thanksgiving." That's what he said. He goes like this. He goes, "Thanksgiving." I I couldn't believe it. Those two guys were in shock. Okay. So we can't bet Carolina ever again. I mean, you got a guy in there that's eating literally the version
No, I
of a
know.
city rat.
I like Arizona in this game.
Me too.
I'm a little scared because I'm not going to overlook the way Carolina was playing before the Dallas game. But I do think this is a good matchup for Arizona. And again, they haven't been eliminated, and I think they'll come in here fighting. But it's an ugly game. I'd rather pass.
Let me give you one more data point that's going to make you not want to pass. Arizona is now 5-0 against teams that are under 500.
Wow. Okay.
So this is going to be 6-0. I like Arizona here. They're way better than the Carolina. Yep.
Okay. You're with me on that. And I consider them to be a good team.
Definitely. Me too.
Yeah. They've just like the teams that they've been playing over.
Can't beat Seattle.
Right. And the defenses that they've been playing over the last month between Seattle,
you said it,
and San Francisco and Minnesota. Like,
yeah, they have a hard schedule. Their strength of schedule is very good. You said.
Yeah. And
now they get some weaker opponents. And when they play the bad teams, they beat them and they cover.
Yeah. And they actually should. I was a little, the Patriot game was a little bit closer than it should have been. So I was a little, I mean, I know they won by 20 points, but they were scoring at will, but they didn't. They could have won 37-10. You know.
Yeah, they didn't put them away at the end.
Right.
Still, I think 3.5 on the road. They're playing well, and they play well against bad teams. I mean, I think they should cover that. Carolina is not a team that I'm scared of in that spot.
Okay. Philly is on the road playing Washington, giving 3.5. What do you think of this line?
I mean, listen, if they're going to give me 3.5 at home, I'm inclined to take Washington.
Me too.
I think it's a division game. They're going to be playing for revenge. They know they need the win to get themselves back in this thing. And Philly, listen, they're coming off, they're feeling themselves. You know, they beat up their Pennsylvania rival like they always do. And Jalen Hurts is all cocky in the interview afterwards. I guess he sits down. He's like, "Is that what you guys wanted to see?" Because all the controversy with him and AJ Brown, they got to pass them. They got to win. But now, listen, I think hopefully Dan Quinn. I hate to rely on Dan Quinn because I just don't love him as a coach. But I got to believe that Jaden and these guys Ertz is playing, right? Ertz was questionable.
Let me see. He is, still questionable.
Yeah, he's an important piece to them because Jaden likes to throw to him when he gets into trouble. And if they don't have him, they don't have a real backup to him. So that's an important injury to watch. McLaurin was great last week, and Brian Robinson's very good. So 3.5, I'm inclined to take Washington. I know it's hard to bet against Philly. I get it.
No, me too. When I first saw this, I thought, I think they lost the first game. Was it by 3 or by 7?
It was closer than we thought, but at the end, I think they didn't cover at the end.
Yeah. I like Washington. They're 9-6.
Mm-hmm.
They have the 7th wild card spot right now. They have to hold on to it. There's people beating down the door, and this would go a long way toward both doing that and solidifying themselves as contending. I like them. I think this game will be close.
Me too. And the other thing that I want to just remind you of is I think Philly lost an offensive lineman last week for the season in that game. I'm not sure if it was Lane Johnson or it was another one of their big linemen.
Right about Lane Johnson, by the way.
Yeah. That's a huge loss for them.
Landon Dickerson.
Yeah, that guy, Dickerson.
Okay, he's questionable.
I don't think he's going to play.
Okay,
he was hurt. He was, it was Dickerson. He's hurt. He left that game.
He's questionable to return. He left the Pittsburgh game with a knee injury.
Yes, I'm telling you, that's a bad loss for them. He's really good.
Left guard. Jeez, that's huge. Okay.
Yep.
We both like Washington. Nice.
Okay.
All right. Next is Rams Jets. I have a pass on here.
So scary, right? It seems so easy.
Well, yeah, Jets offense has been okay the last 2-3 weeks.
That's
But
true.
I
They've
want
been putting up
I want no
points.
part of it.
You got to avoid it. You can't ever put $1 on the Jets, but it's 3.5, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you would think the Rams could come across the country with that offense and it would translate and they would get it done. I remember this. I was in a situation like this last year where they played at the Giants and I laid the points and they didn't get there. And they were lucky to win that game in overtime. So I'm going to stay away from it.
Didn't
But I'd be shocked if the Rams lost.
Didn't the Giants win that game?
No, the Rams ended up winning because Tyrod Taylor, I think, did something stupid in overtime, and the Rams were able to. I think they returned a kick or a punt, or I don't know what it was, but somehow they ended up kicking the game-winning field goal. They won by 3, and the line I think was similar to this, 3.5 or 4. I had the Rams. I was so pissed.
Me too. I remember I said on the podcast that the guy chasing that guy returning the punt was running at a sickeningly slow pace. No, the guy who returned the kick was running slow as molasses.
Slow.
And he ran through the whole team.
Unbelievable. Yeah. Somehow he got through that whole Giant team.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Oh my God, that's funny. Okay. So we are passing here. Vikings, Seattle. Vikings are laying 3.5 on the road. I looked at Gino's injury status. You know, he obviously left the game.
Honestly, what a pussy he is. I'm sorry. That's fucking weak.
I had a 7-team.
Killed us. Killed me last week.
All winners except Seattle.
Yeah, and I had a 5-team parlay that were winners with them.
I mean, I had all of our picks. I had Cincy, I had Buffalo, I had Arizona, I had Minnesota, I had Falcons, and I had Seattle. And I got to say, that guy, Sam Howell,
horrendous.
Never enter another NFL game in his life.
He was so bad.
The look on his face, he was like, where am I?
Douglas looked at me. Douglas yelled at me on the couch because he's like, why are you so angry when you watch games? I'm like, because little did he know that I fucking in-game bet Seattle 3 times. And I was getting 14.5 points at one point. And I was just like, this guy is fucking inept. And Geno Smith is a pussy. He's sitting there on the bench. He's shaking his head. I can't go back in. He had a heating pad on his knee. Who puts a heating pad on an injured knee? It's supposed to be ice. Idiot.
And you know, it's so crazy because, what's his face? Who were they playing? Sorry. Seattle was
Green Bay.
Yeah, so LaFleur gets so conservative. He just starts, kicking field goals, which is like no coach does that anymore. And he was just kicking field goals, and like the door was just wide open.
The door was open the whole game, and that guy Howell was so inept. And last year when he was on Washington, he had moments where he was okay.
Yeah,
where he actually made some plays.
They were down by 17, and I turned it off. I was like, I can't watch it anymore. I went upstairs. I I do a bunch of stuff. Like before I shut the house down, I got to make sure the garage is closed, the alarm's on. I got to do this over here and this.
Yeah.
And then I plug my phone in and go upstairs. I don't bring it upstairs. Before I went upstairs, I looked, and they had scored a touchdown, and it was cut. They cut it to 10.
Yes.
And that super teaser that I had, I was getting 8.5, and I was like, oh my God, they scored. And I went back downstairs and turned the game back on to watch the rest of it, and just miserable. Yeah. Why did I do that?
So bad.
And he couldn't. I mean, yeah, I saw what happened. They got the turnover. I mean, the guy fumbled. They scored. Sam Howell had one good drive where he had to drive 30 yards, running back. Charbonnet made
down the sideline for the touchdown. But anyway, Gino killed the game. Gino killed the game for us in the first half because we were inside the 20 right before the half. And even if we kick a field goal, the game's not out of reach. It's, I think, a 14-6 game or whatever. And he threw it up into triple coverage, and he just threw an interception. It's just so bad.
And the Packers defense, again, is so impressive.
Yeah, they're playing good, man. They're 12-1, by the way.
Yeah. So, all right, let's talk about this game because first of all, they have a laundry list of injuries Seattle does on their offense. They're all hurt. Charbonnet, Gino is not listed, but I know he's going to be hobbled. By the way, if he was just playing in that game, I'm convinced I would have covered that 8.5.
Me too.
Anyway,
He left the game and like quit on his team.
And Howell was just absolutely useless. Anyway, back to this game. I think Seattle's done. And I think this is it right here. This is the nail in the coffin, this game. Minnesota is going to come in here. What I really felt about Geno was that in a very important situation against a quality defense, he is going to throw an interception. He is.
Yeah.
He's going to do it. He's going to do it again this week.
Doing that his whole career.
Yeah. And it's like, he shines against bad defenses. That's really my conclusion about him and like the games that he's played well in this year. But when you look at this list of, between him and Metcalf, both Walker and Charbonnet questionable, Noah Fant questionable. So they're going to come in here like totally hobbled and have to play Minnesota, who's fighting to become, still alive, basically.
They're trying to win the division.
NFC, yes. So I don't know. I think Minnesota's playing great and they're up for this game. And Seattle, if they're going to win this game, they can't make any mistakes. What are the chances of that happening?
Not good. I mean, listen, if Seattle had a full complement on offense and they were healthy, I could see them going in there and maybe picking Minnesota off or keeping it close. But with all these injuries and Geno with a bad knee, I don't know how they're going to do it. I mean, I don't think they can, keep up. Assuming that Jefferson and Addison have the games they have in Aaron Jones. I mean, it's just too much. Minnesota has too much, and they have a great defense that's going to harass a beat up offense of Seattle. So I love Smith and Jigba. I think the kid's unbelievable. I just don't think it's enough. Metcalf hasn't been the same since the injury. Without Kenneth Walker, they're not the same offense with Charbonnet. They're not as good. Yeah. So it's going to be hard for them. What's the spread? 6.5?
3.5.
Why is it so low? That's weird.
Well, Seattle's at home.
Oh, I thought it was in Minnesota.
No. So let's just say look, Minnesota's 3 points better on a neutral field. So you get the 3 back for the home field. And I just think Minnesota's offense, Seattle's offense isn't going to be able to stay on the field.
They're not. They're not going to be able to.
The defense is improved and better, but they're going to get worn down.
This could be similar to what Buffalo did to them.
Yeah.
Same type of game. It was the same line.
Yep.
All right. Minnesota it is.
Okay. Pats, Bills. It's too much. I'm passing. If anything, I like Buffalo, but it's 14.5. I can't get involved.
No. Buffalo's clearly, Josh Allen's the MVP. The guy is totally elite. He's playing at another level. He's going to win the MVP easy. And Buffalo doesn't look like, certainly not going to trip up and lose this game. Are they going to go in there and blow them out?
They have, tough. They have they have a cakewalk. They played New England twice and the Jets once these last 3 games. So they're going to win out. And, I give Drake May credit. He's got, I think, the number 1 EPA per play in the 4th quarter. So the guy is throwing the ball and throwing it well when it doesn't matter.
When they're always behind. Yeah. So he's playing against prevent defenses and shit.
Yeah. And this guy Mayo, like Gerard Mayo, whatever his name is.
They're falling out of love with him pretty quick.
Yeah. He's so angry the way he is on the sideline, his body language, the way he coaches. And I don't even know if people are responding to that, but May plays well in the second half of these games when they're getting blown out. And, I could just see them backdoor covering.
Where is this game?
In Buffalo.
Yeah. I don't, it's hard to lay that many
against Arizona.
Tough to lay that many points. Let's skip the game. But either way, the problem is that, Buffalo could put up 40 on them.
Yeah.
If they're interested,
I kind of feel like when Buffalo gets inside into one of these domes, like when they play like the Rams or Detroit, my God, like
sick. They're so good.
Yeah. This guy, Joe Brady, man, this guy's an amazing offensive coordinator. How do we got this loser, Ken Dorsey, on our team? That was so smart.
Isn't Joe Brady the guy that coached at LSU with Burrow?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's elite. He's unbelievable.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
Turn this whole thing around.
I can't
Okay.
imagine them sleepwalking against New England. I mean, a division opponent at home. I don't imagine that they'll get caught off guard. Like, I know they don't think New England is any good, and they're not, but it's still a division game.
Yeah.
You got to be ready to play. And, that's either going to go two ways. They're either going to be lazy and not and go through this thing. It's going to be a low scoring. They're in a slog fest somehow with this team, or they're going to put up 40 something points and, it's going to be 40-20, something like that.
Yeah, or it's a blowout and the back doors open in the fourth
Yeah.
quarter and Drake may continue.
I think you avoid it.
Yeah, they play hard. Okay, so they'll backdoor it or not. Like, I'm not interested. Okay, next game is Jags Raiders. Also a pass for me. I have nothing to say about it. Any interest?
Jags Raiders. Listen, the Raiders are going to lose every game the rest of the way. The Jaguars were close last week. Mac Jones, that's his first loss to the Jets of his life. But the kid, Brian Thomas Jr., is unbelievable. The kid lit it up again. He had 2 touchdowns, 100-something yards receiving, a lot of catches. The Raiders can't cover anybody. So I'm not anxious to bet either one of these teams. But if I have to take them in the pick pool, I'm going to take Jacksonville.
Okay. It's a pass for me. Next game is 49ers getting 1.5 from Miami. I don't know what you think about this, but
in Miami?
Yeah. I think Miami's done and dysfunctional. And look, the 49ers are 6-8 and they likely are also, but I like them in this spot. I don't know why. It's probably a pass, but
we're not betting them. We're not taking them.
I just kind of feel like the wrong team is favored, and this is like, the market is really, really beating up San Francisco more than they need to. And if anything, Miami should be the one getting like 1 or 2.5 here. But Miami's done after the way they played. After the way they played against Houston.
You know what happened to them, right?
What?
They got mushed. That was his number one play of the day. He kept texting me, Miami wins easy win for Miami. Like, that was his only pick of the day that he shared.
Yeah.
It's how much he loved Miami in that game.
Yeah.
God, they lost outright and they got embarrassed.
Yeah.
He's now ruining franchises.
Well, I mean, let me ask you, do you think they have anything left?
They're not alive mathematically, are they?
Yeah, I mean they're on the bubble, like the Colts in Cincinnati. They're all 3, 6, and 8. So
yeah,
I've seen crazier things happen.
San Fran's a tough team to beat, but San Fran probably has a laundry list of injuries to pay attention to. Listen, at any time, if Waddle is open on those crosses and Tyreek Hill can get the ball down the field with Achane, they're dangerous, Miami. But they don't beat good teams. Not that San Fran's a good team. It's a weird game. It's a skip. It's a skip game. You don't bet it.
Yeah. All right. For the record, I like the 49ers. I think like Miami's defense is terrible. I think the 49ers will have success here, and 49ers have the better defense. And I just see this as yet another game where if Miami's going to struggle to score. Okay. Let's move on to Tampa Bay, Dallas. Tampa's laying 3.5. I think this is the Sunday night game. I like Tampa. I still think Dallas is done, despite the fact that they beat Carolina. They have not won at home yet. They're not going to win at home against Tampa, who is trying to steal the division from Atlanta. And I just love Tampa. I mean, the way that they've been playing, they talk about a great offensive coordinator. This guy, what's his name? Liam Nelson. He has basically resurrected this team's offense. I mean, what's his name? Liam Cohen. What negative thing can you say about Tampa's offense?
Listen, Baker's been good most of the weeks. He was great last week. I mean, Mike Evans is great. They run the ball. They're okay with Bucky Irving, thank God, because Rashad White wasn't enough, and they have Otten. And I know Godwin's been out, but they still move the ball, and you still have Bowles, who's coaching the defense. They can get beat on the back end, but is Dallas, I mean, other than CeeDee Lamb, right?
Yeah.
CeeDee Lamb is there, and maybe Brandon Cooks, but 3.5 on the road, second week in a row on the road. But I kind of agree that like Dallas is, they still mathematically, they're not, right? They're 6-9. 6-8.
Done. They're not even.
The most they can get to is 9-8.
Yeah, they're not in the picture. They're 6-8. So I take that back. They are officially on the bubble.
Yeah.
Like all these 6-8 teams.
Yeah.
So I mean, okay, there's going to be some fight there, but I think Tampa, being 8-6, this is such an important game for them. They're still trying to win the division. And get in, get a wild card if they're not going to win the division. I mean, they have to win this, and they're a much better team than Dallas.
I agree.
They are, like I don't care that Dallas isn't mathematically eliminated, but I don't think it matters because
it's still Cooper Rush, right? Dak's not back yet.
Yeah,
still Cooper. Yeah, okay. Yeah. I mean, if we don't have 5 games, I think Tampa's better. I like the way they're playing. They're playing good.
Okay, so you're with me there. Last game of the week, Saints Packers. It's another yawner.
14.5.
Yeah,
this is a massacre.
13.5 in the contest.
Oh, that's a great line. This is a massacre.
I think so too. It's also it's probably going to be really cold. This guy Spencer, I mean, a dome team from New Orleans is going to have to go play in that weather in December on Christmas weekend. Like,
can't imagine that game would be close.
Right. Me neither. With that defense and a third string quarterback in that weather.
27-3.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I can't imagine the Saints even scoring. But then again, every time I say that, and I said it last week because Brad was all over.
They fought hard at the end.
Oh yeah,
they almost won.
They almost won the game. And Washington, Brad was like all over Washington. I said, you know what? Every time I bet against the Saints, I see Alvin Kamara running down the field, getting first downs, and them scoring. And
he did it to us. He's the one who scored.
I know. It's like, now it's different on the road though, and it's different in Green Bay and them getting all the calls and the weather. I don't see it.
And 13.5 is a good number. The live line is 14 or 14.5. So we're under 2 touchdowns there.
Okay. So we have
Green Bay, I think, is a really live team in the NFC in terms of if Detroit's going to be injured like this and Philadelphia, Green Bay to me is a team that can go into Philadelphia and win. They're not afraid of going into the cold. And Jordan Love is starting to really play his best football again, like he always does in December. He's one of these guys that plays his best late in the year. Early in the year, he makes a lot of mistakes, but lately he's been really good. I mean, hasn't turned it over.
Yeah. By the
way, they're a dangerous team, man.
Talking about dangerous and value, Tampa, I'm pretty sure is 40-1 to win the Super Bowl right now. 40.
Wow.
So even them to win the NFC, like
they crushed the Eagles last year in the playoffs.
That's worth.
And then they went to Detroit, and I had them, and they lost. And Baker had the ball late and threw an interception on the last drive for the backdoor cover, and we didn't get there.
Yeah.
And then Detroit went to San Francisco, famously in the fourth quarter. Obviously, you know what happened. Dan Campbell goes for it, blah, 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 and cost his team a trip to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Let me just check real quick their odds to win. Hold on, Super Bowl playoff specials. Oh, no. Coach of the year. Hold on. NFL futures. Conference. To win the NFC.
20-1?
14.
Yeah, Green Bay's 12, right? Or no, 12 to win the Super Bowl.
No, they're 5.5 to win the NFC.
Yeah. I have some really good odds on Green Bay that I bet early in the year. Ridiculous odds.
I'm so pissed that I did before that. I'm still pissed at myself for not betting Buffalo before the Detroit game. They were 6-1. Now they're the favorite. They're the
Yeah.
favorite at 4-1. I lost 200 points of value.
They look like a team of destiny to me, man. I'll tell you, if Detroit, Hutchinson says he's coming back for the Super Bowl. He said to his teammates, "You just got to get there. I'll be back." So it'll be interesting if Detroit can overcome all these injuries. I don't know how they possibly can. They have to have home field. We talked about it. If they don't have home field, I don't think they have a chance. It's can't go into these cold weather stadiums with that team with Goff and expect to come out of there with a win without Montgomery now. Without, so many of their guys are on IR. It's insane. I've never seen anything like that.
You know what I thought was interesting? There was a bet that I saw at Bet Online to bet on which conference was going to go to the Super Bowl. And the AFC North was like 8-1.
I like that. Steelers or Ravens.
Yeah.
The problem is Buffalo's a bad matchup for both of us.
I know, but that's like you have two.
I'd rather play Kansas City. I think the Steelers have a better chance of beating Kansas City in a playoff game in Arrowhead than I do of beating Buffalo in Buffalo. We have no chance of winning there ever. We never win in Buffalo. It's not happening. If we go to Kansas City, we can get into a sort of a slugfest type mentality game with them, and we could be in that game.
Yeah, by the way, I think Buffalo thinks the same way. And when I talk to my friends who are Buffalo fans, they would rather go to Kansas City than have to play at home and have that expectation.
Well, they had it once and it didn't. Yeah, when they lost at home. Kansas City. Yeah. I don't know. I think Buffalo's a different team now. They got rid of Diggs. They spread the ball around. Josh Allen doesn't make mistakes anymore. He's just getting it to the open guy, or he's taking it on his own shoulders and doing it himself.
Yeah. And this guy Brady, and I think McDermott has come around also. They're not as conservative and they're very aggressive on offense.
They should be. They had the best player in the game.
Right. So I don't know. I like their chances. I don't know if they should be the favorite right now. It's almost worth betting some others, but they're obviously hot.
The interesting thing to me in this day and age in football is quite simply this: knowing when to be aggressive and when not to be is the whole thing. If you can figure that out and master that, that's how you win games.
Yeah.
It's easier said than done.
There's a time to be conservative and a time not to be, and that balance is so important,
Yes, and sometimes
I feel like guys like LaFleur and Shanahan are overly conservative, and like Dan Campbell is overly aggressive.
And Tomlin always does the concern. He wants to put his defense out there. We'll stop you. We're not late in the game. We're going to punt. We're punting it back to you. It's your ball.
Tomlin punted on the plus side of the field.
I know.
In the fourth quarter, down by 14.
Never saw the ball again.
You never got the ball back.
11-minute drive.
Never got the ball back.
Never touched it.
That was crazy.
Crazy. He has a lot of confidence in the defense, sometimes too much.
Right.
Especially against a team like that he's got to know what your stat is, that recently we're not good against the run. And that team, the worst thing to be doing there is giving the team back with a 2-touchdown lead that runs the ball down your throat. And you can't stop them because the clock just gets killed. They move the chains. They never throw it. And you never see the ball again. So for him not to know that is stupid.
Mm-hmm. Oh, he thought in that moment that you'd get a stop, obviously.
Listen, man.
All right, everybody. Great pod. Thanks for tuning in. We got a great weekend of football. I don't know when we got Christmas coming up next week, and there's games on Christmas.
Yeah, it's weird, right? It's Christmas on a Wednesday. It's so bizarre that they're playing games like that.
I don't know if we'll get a pod in before that because
maybe the Steelers are going to play Saturday. That's why they're playing Saturday.
Yeah,
because they got to play Wednesday.
Oh my God, you're playing on Christmas?
Playing the Chiefs.
Holy shit.
On Amazon Prime.
Oh my God.
You know who else is playing on Christmas that night is Baltimore. That's why they're playing Saturday.
Yeah.
And I bet you the Chiefs are playing when? Thursday night. So they have an advantage already. Of course.
Mm-hmm.
Why wouldn't they?
Right. So maybe we'll do a pod next, and we won't be able to do another pod till next Thursday. So we'll miss those games.
Hey, when are you coming back?
Christmas Eve.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll miss those games. I'm going to say for the record that if the Steelers, this is their chance to beat Kansas City at home. I'm not saying we're going to do it, but we get them in a good spot. You know, they're not the Kansas City Chiefs of old. They're not going to come in there and blow us out. So we're going to be in that game. Place is going to be going nuts. It's going to be cold. And, you know, hopefully Watt is healthy and we can squeeze out a win in that game.
Yeah, I like Pittsburgh in that game. Do you know what that line is?
No.
I'm very curious what that line is. I want to say 3.5. Does that sound right? Or is it going
I
to be
can't imagine we'd be giving them. They'd be giving us. We're probably going to be getting 2.5 at home, I'm guessing.
Well, you're at home?
Yeah, it's in Pittsburgh.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Then I don't know what the line is.
I think, listen, if we're an underdog at home, Tomlin's great in that spot. But Kansas City's Kansas City, man. They're no joke.
Yeah.
They're hard. You know, they just win games.
College football playoffs starting this weekend. Gonna have we got the college football playoff pool, the bowl bonanza at wantomakeabet.com, giving away $100. So everybody get in. It's a free entry.
Jump in. The water's warm.
Jump in. Got great games on Saturday. Buckeyes are playing Saturday night against Tennessee. We got this featured game.
Wow.
I'm going to be in a sports book at the Baha Mar and in the Bahamas watching that probably.
Good for you. It's a good place to be.
Have you ever been there?
I was next door to there. So I was there. The Atlantis and all that stuff is kind of right there. So yeah. It's fun. You're going to have a great time.
All right, my man. Well,
don't forget your passport.
Everybody. What's that?
Don't forget your passport.
Of course. What do you think? I'm Keith Kaplan? Guy goes to Canada without a passport. I didn't know I needed it.
Have a great trip, man. A safe time, and let's. So we know our picks now. You want to, or we're gonna. Whenever we're gonna. Oh, we have till Sunday. You will. I'll just text you from there. Whatever. You let me know.
I'll be able to put them in. But
all right, good.
Dinner with the boys tomorrow night. I'll miss you guys, and
yeah, we're gonna have a good time tomorrow night. Mason's coming up, and we got some sort of a fancy reservation from Cappy. Who knows where we're going? Who knows where the night leads?
Love it. I'll miss you guys.
We're gonna miss you, buddy.
All right, everyone. Cheers. Merry Christmas, and we'll be back at you next week.
And happy Hanukkah. Hanukkah starts Christmas night this year. I can't believe it.
That's right.
It's very late. All right, guys. Good luck with your picks.
Yep.
Later, brother.
All right.
There might have been a little something with your video.